We are here at Park Inn by Radisson, and I've got Scoly Cheruto, who is a TV maven. She has been, and listen to this, she has been on Monica, Vitimbi, Plot 10, Mheshimiwa, Classmates, and Governor. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I am doing okay. I'm
Yeah?
actually doing very well.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
usually before the show starts, I'll sort of speak to the guests and, gauge how nervous they are because a lot of them have never been on TV before.
Right.
I didn't even ask you. I was like, look at this. Like, this is nothing. You're probably like, I'm used to cameras. I'm used to, like, knowing when to go. Is there?
Yes, but maybe not necessarily because I mean it's interesting because it's always like it's a new thing. It doesn't you never really get used to it because it's like always different scenarios all the time, different settings all the time. It's always not the same thing, right? Like especially for me because I'm doing everything. I'm doing production, I'm doing acting, and I am doing interviews, and I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
So it's always
So do you get nervous sometimes still?
a little bit, yeah.
Really? I guess nerves are good. A little nerves are good.
Yes,
Shows that you care.
right.
So tell me about your childhood. Were you interested in acting, in being in front of the TV? Were you the kid who was happy to perform in front of guests when they came over?
No, not at all. In fact, I fell into this business by accident completely. I never acted in school. I wasn't that kid. I just cleared high school immediately, and a friend of mine invited me to an audition, and by then I didn't even know what auditions are or anything like that. So I just took him, and there was a long line of people auditioning, and so I asked, what is this all about? And yeah, they told me what it's about, and I decided, okay, so can I just try for fun? Like I was really in the hype mood, and I was in for anything. So I auditioned my first thing, and I got the job.
Whoa.
For set books, yeah. It
What?
was
And you had no prior background or kind of
zero,
acting,
no,
anything to fall back on?
nothing.
So I guess it can be natural, because that often is a question. Is it natural? Is it in you? Is it innate, this acting ability, or is it something that can be learned?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's just that people don't discover it in advance. Like sometimes people need to be tapped into because they don't know that they have the gift, and so until you're able to try and see, oh, okay, is this something that I can actually do? That's when you realize, oh, it actually starts coming out, and you become acquainted to that. Yeah.
So after high school, you stumble into this without even, without any kind of prior intention set for this. Really.
No, I wanted to do law.
You wanted to do law?
Yes.
But you find yourself in front, acting.
Yeah.
Was it love at first, cut or first scene, or did you feel?
It was actually set books.
Okay.
So I was set books is this thing where you like set books in high schools. So you have to travel all over the country presenting plays in public. So that was the first one.
Okay.
And for me, I was up for anything, like I said earlier. And being on stage, I think even like all those years, I can't compare that presence on stage and anything else. So for me, it was like, wow, I'm really enjoying this. It's just that I had to stop because I had to grow in a different way, but I really did enjoy, especially being on stage, doing performances.
Okay.
And in fact, that's the reason why I came back to wanting to do stand-up comedy, because I remembered, and I still can't get away from that fun and just that feeling of being on stage and performing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so you do the set books.
Yes.
What was your next? What was your next adventure? What was the next thing you were going to?
Well, so I said after set books, I came back because it's a thing that you travel all over the country the whole year long back then. So right now I just decided to do like normal stage plays for a while, and then you go for auditions, and I went for auditions for different other TV shows. That's how I got into TV, because
You just keep, I guess, auditioning until the right
Yeah,
thing comes
exactly.
along. What was it like being, on stage for plays, and how different was that from TV and doing a show, whether it's Monica or Vitimbi?
Well,
how different is
Monica is actually a show that I have produced. Well, I have actually featured in it as an actor too, but for me, it's more of a production. Like I produced it. The first show that I went to after stage was Vitimbi and Plot 10. And Vitimbi and Plot 10 back then was very stage-like. Like, you are allowed to do all the drama. Like, it was more about the physical drama than so it wasn't
Right.
so different.
Okay.
But when I started, going to other different shows, that's when I was told you need to tone down. You need to, like, the stage and TV
Are
is
different.
yeah,
Yeah.
because on stage you have to use more of your physical expressions to be able to communicate to people, but for TV you have to be as natural as you can
Right.
be. Yeah.
And how did you transition? Did you have any guidance or mentorship or coaching to help you through this? Given that you had you sort of fell into this.
Yeah.
So did you have any help?
I did. I mean, I went for different trainings, but what I realized doing that is that when you go to every set, people give you their own rules and regulations and guidelines on how they feel or think these things should be done. So it's never the same
Okay.
until I realized, oh, okay. I mean, that was, for me, it was almost like you can't really go to school for these things. You have to flow with whatever you find yourself in. And it's the same even for the different directors that I've met. The way they will direct their actors is completely different from the way the other director will direct their actors. And just, it's like rules that every set has, and even stage plays, all of them. And so it's been a bit of a challenge because there's no one fits all. You just have to go with the flow.
Right.
And I don't know, that's unfortunate or whatever. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how different is acting from producing? And is producing something that you had wanted to do the minute you started
To act.
To act? Yeah.
When I got into Vitimbi, I felt like I wasn't, like there was, if I was given the opportunity to run that, I could do it myself. Like I could do it so differently. And I was like, okay, so you need a camera, an editor and actors. Like for me at that point, it looked so easy and so simple. So I thought, why can't I do this myself? And it wasn't really as easy as it sounded.
It never is.
It
never
wasn't at all. It was
with anything, I guess. It always looks easy, and then you get into it, and you're like,
oh yeah,
this is a lot more than I thought. Yeah.
yeah. But so just the desire to want to do my own things, and I felt like this is easy. But when I got into it, I just I just went and I went and I went and I went and yeah.
Which one do you prefer? Acting or producing?
That's a very difficult
It's
question
like
because
asking you to pick your child, your favorite child. But if
Exactly.
you had to pick for 2020, if you could focus your energy on one, which one would it be and why? One more than the other.
I really want to do comedy. I want to do stand-up comedy. That's a thing that I personally want to do,
Okay.
which I am already doing, right?
Yeah.
I'm in Churchill now, and I started about 2 weeks ago. I featured my first, and I went back to stage and I was like, oh, MG, where have I been all this time?
yeah.
I was really having a good time, and I know this is something I want to do for a long time. But producing is also a thing I want to do. And so I will still go back to being it difficult to pick.
Okay, it's still both.
Because
It's still both.
because I really have content that I want out there, and I enjoy that as well. So yeah, it's both. I'm sorry, I won't
Yeah,
pick.
okay, no picking, no worries. What are some of the negative aspects of being on TV? The things that you find hard to deal with on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, so as a producer and an actor, because I do both. So which one are you asking?
Oh,
As
let's do actor. Let's do actor first, and then you can share about production as well.
I find that the business generally is very unstable, right? Like there's times that there's work, a lot of it, and you can go for months just getting work. And then there's a sudden dry season where you don't understand where it came from. And so you have to, because this is all that you do, you have to deal with it. And because, it's where you get your daily bread, it's where you pay your bills from. It becomes a bit of a tricky place to be in because then it's extremely unpredictable. And this one is for both acting and me being a producer. It's the same. They're very dry seasons, and so that's not really good. It's a big challenge. And of course, just the whole idea of having so much content that you want out there that you really believe in, and you don't necessarily get people who understand or even believe in your ideas. And sometimes it may take a really long time until, you know, for example, the latest show that I've done, Monica, I did it in 2015. Those are so many years. I have done like 3 pilots to be able to finally have the show running on air. So it takes a long time. If you don't have that patience, then you won't be able to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, it's about grit, being able to just stick through it.
Yeah.
And you have to have the passion for it as well.
The passion, the patience. I mean, because I know a lot of people who have the passion, but not so many people have the patience because of what you have to deal with to be able to get to the other side.
Yeah. And what are some of the most exciting parts for you about being on TV and having the chance to live out your dreams on a daily basis? What do you love most about it?
I love a lot of things. I love, like I said, to be on stage as a performer. I love to be able to see the things that I have created out there and people actually appreciating them very much. And just the comments that come to that. For me, just the fact that the show is out there and it has reached its audience and people can actually relate to it is a big deal for me. I'm happy. And especially because everything that I do is something has come from within. I just don't create stories because there has to be a relationship to it. You know, like for example, Monica, there's a personal story to it. Loco Loco, there's a personal story to it. So it's just either things that I have come across or people that I've actually seen going through those things. And so for me, it's like, yes, people can actually, it's almost like, I could almost say like they're real life stories.
Right.
You know, I could almost say that.
Because it's your chance to connect with the audience.
Yes.
Actually, and as you're pulling out characters and the different shows that you've been in, do you also find yourself tapping into your own personal experiences? Maybe less so for the comedy shows, but if it's more serious kind of TV roles or acting roles, do you find that you have to tap into your real past or like real moments? Or are you
Absolutely.
just like
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For example, the comedy that I'm doing, I'm playing a Kalenjin girl from the village house help. I had a little bit of my past. I was brought up in the village, a little bit of it, like about 5 years. So I went to school there in like for 3 years when I was younger, and also in high school I went back there. So it was so hilarious how those guys used to behave.
Yeah.
I mean, my people, they're my people. And I just used to laugh all the time, and I was like, gee, like this is so cool. I would love to do this. And so even when I cleared and I got this opportunity to act in Vitimbi, I was playing the same role. It's just that now it's for comedy. I was like, this thing, I have to do it again. Like it's just, yeah.
And are there moments where you feel disconnected, where you're like, this character, I just have no connection to it? And if so, how do you still bring that character to light?
Well, the thing about me is that I've had very different upbringings, right? I have, like I've told you, the Shags upbringing, there's a ghetto upbringing that I've had, and there's a more urban upbringing, and I have interacted with all. So I usually feel like if you throw me here, I will just bring it out. If you throw me to the other side, like it's so natural for me because there's always a little bit of me in almost all the characters.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a fluidity in all of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have very little struggle
Yeah.
to get into those characters.
Right. Okay, so as we wrap up, I'm curious to know, what are you most excited for that's up and coming? What project are you most keen to see come out into the world?
Wow, there's a lot, especially for 2020. I have a lot. We're doing animation right now, co-producing animation with a different production company in Canada.
That's completely different from everything that you've talked. You've talked about stand-up comedy, acting, production, animation. I love how fluid you are in this space.
Yeah, I mean, I have a partner that I work with, and he's more international, and so we really get to gel well because we get to experience all these things. And even right now, him being in South Africa, he has made different connections for us to be able to create co-productions. And so there's animation, there is a lot of other dramas and series that are not just local, right? So there's a local aspect, but and there's also a very international
Wow.
aspect that
So
comes with it.
animations. I
Yes.
can't wait to see that. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Scoly. This was lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.